America's past holds some shocking secrets that would land people in jail today. Everyday activities we now consider dangerous or illegal were once completely normal across the United States. Let's uncover 16 American practices from recent history that will blow your mind. Starting with number 1, smoking on airplanes. Picture boarding a flight where the first thing you notice isn't the flight attendant's smile, but the haze of cigarette smoke filling the cabin. Passengers lit up during takeoff, during meals, and even while holding babies. Flight attendants passed out ashtrays like they were peanuts, and the no smoking sign only applied during extreme turbulence. The air recycling system meant everyone shared the same smoky atmosphere for hours. Can you imagine being trapped in that metal tube with nowhere to escape the secondhand smoke? By the 1980s, health concerns finally grounded this dangerous habit. But for decades, flying meant breathing other people's smoke at 30,000 feet. Number 2, kids riding in pickup truck beds. Family road trips once looked radically different across America. Forget seatbelts and car seats. Children rode standing up in the open bed of pickup trucks, hair blowing in the wind as their parents drove down highways. They'd wave at other cars, play games, and even lie down looking at the stars during night drives. To families then, it felt like freedom and fun. But one sudden stop could turn joyride into tragedy. By the 1990s, safety campaigns and new laws put an end to this risky tradition, though some rural areas still remember the thrill. Number 3, teachers paddling students. American schools once used physical punishment to maintain order. Principals kept wooden paddles in their offices, and teachers used rulers on hands for minor infractions. The punishment was often delivered in front of the whole class, adding public shame to physical pain. Forgetting homework or talking back could earn you a swat that stung for hours. Most parents supported this system, believing it built character. But by the 1980s, changing views on child welfare led most states to ban corporal punishment in schools, though surprisingly, some states still allow it today. Number 4, kids buying fireworks at roadside stands. 4th of July celebrations once involved children walking up to roadside fireworks stands with their allowance money. They could purchase cherry bombs, M80s, and Roman candles without any adult supervision or age verification. Backyards became miniature war zones as kids experimented with explosives that could remove fingers. The emergency rooms saw regular fireworks injuries every summer. Growing safety concerns eventually led to strict age restrictions and bans on the most dangerous fireworks, though the memory of those explosive summers remains vivid for many. Number 5, children sent to buy cigarettes for parents. It was common for parents to send their kids to the corner store with a note requesting cigarettes. The child would hand over the note and cash, and the shopkeeper would sell the pack without hesitation. For many kids, it was their first independent errand, a sign of growing up trusted by adults. Marlboros, Winstons, Camels. Children became familiar with brand names long before they could drive. Today, this would trigger Child Protective Services, but decades ago, it was as normal as buying milk. Number 6, driving without seatbelts. Until the 1980s, most Americans considered seatbelts optional annoyances. Many cars didn't even have them installed, and those that did saw them used mainly to hold grocery bags in place. Safety campaigns showing crash test dummies faced strong resistance from people who saw mandatory seatbelts as government overreach. "It's my choice," was the common argument against what we now know saves thousands of lives annually. The cultural shift took years, but today, clicking that belt is as automatic as turning the key. Number 7, cigarette commercials during prime time. From the 1950s through the 1960s, tobacco companies dominated American television advertising. Can you believe famous actors and sports stars actually endorsed cigarettes during family programming? Catchy jingles made smoking sound sophisticated and healthy, with doctors in commercials claiming certain brands were less irritating. The Marlboro Man became an American icon, selling rugged individualism along with lung cancer. It wasn't until 1971 that Congress banned cigarette ads from television, though the damage to public health was already massive. Number 8. Teenagers drinking in bars with parents. In many states until the 1980s, it was legal for teenagers to drink alcohol in restaurants and bars if their parents were present. Family outings to pizza parlors often included beer for the 16-year-old, seen as teaching responsible drinking in a controlled environment. Some states maintained these family exception laws well into the 1990s, believing European-style introduction to alcohol prevented binge drinking later. Today, serving minors anywhere would cost establishments their liquor licenses, but for generations, it was considered sensible parenting. Number 9. Three-martini business lunches. The American corporate world once ran on alcohol. Executives conducted million-dollar deals over multiple cocktails during working lunches that stretched through afternoon meetings. Secretaries kept bosses' desks stocked with antacids and breath mints for post-lunch recovery. In some industries, not drinking with clients could cost you business relationships and promotions. The 1980s, corporate restructuring and liability concerns largely ended this tradition, though Wall Street maintained its reputation for hard drinking through the decade. Number 10. Hitchhiking coast to coast. Before interstate highways and cheap airfare, young Americans routinely hitchhiked across the country with just a backpack and a thumb. College students traveled from California to New York, relying on strangers' generosity, seeing it as adventure rather than risk. The open road represented freedom, and picking up hitchhikers was considered good citizenship. As crime rates rose and horror stories spread, the practice faded, though it remains part of American folklore and counterculture memory. Number 11. 55 miles per hour speed limit nationwide. During the 1970s oil crisis, Congress imposed a national 55 miles per hour speed limit to conserve fuel. Can you imagine driving cross-country at this pace today? Police strictly enforced the limit, and states risked losing federal highway funds for non-compliance Americans, accustomed to open-road freedom, chafed at the restriction. Though it did reduce traffic fatalities significantly, the law was finally repealed in 1995, returning speed regulation to individual states and ending what many saw as federal overreach. Number 12. Leaded gasoline everywhere. For decades, American cars ran on leaded gasoline, spewing toxic lead particles into the air. We all breathed. Gas station attendants handled the fuel without protection, and children playing near roads absorbed the poison through their lungs. The petroleum industry fought regulations for years, despite evidence linking lead to developmental problems in children and health issues in adults. The phase-out began in the 1970s and wasn't completed until 1996, meaning generations of Americans suffered unnecessary exposure. Number 13. Drinking from public water fountains everywhere. Before plastic bottles dominated, Americans drank freely from public water fountains in parks, schools, and stores. The porcelain bubblers were community gathering spots where strangers shared germs along with hydration. During summer, children lined up at park fountains, drinking directly from the spout while others waited. Nobody worried about sanitation or disease transmission. While many fountains remain, most Americans now prefer bottled water, reflecting changed attitudes about public health and shared resources. Number 14. Segregated facilities across the South. Before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, racial segregation was legal and enforced throughout the American South. Whites-only signs hung over water fountains, restaurants, hotels, and schools, creating separate and unequal facilities for Black Americans. The fight to end this discrimination involved protests, legal battles, and tragic violence. Yet many Americans alive today remember when this injustice was law. The civil rights movement fundamentally changed America, though the legacy of segregation continues to affect the nation. Number 15. DDT pesticide. In the 1950s and 1960s, trucks spraying DDT pesticide regularly drove through American suburbs while children played outside. The chemical cloud was considered modern pest control, with families sitting on their porches as the mist settled on their skin and lawns. Rachel Carson's Silent Spring exposed the environmental damage. But for years, Americans unknowingly exposed themselves to what we now know is a dangerous toxin. The EPA banned DDT in 1972, but not before it entered the food chain. Number 16, asbestos in home construction. American homes built before the 1980s likely contain asbestos in insulation, tiles, and siding. We built our dream homes with hidden poison in the walls. Construction workers handled the material without masks, sanding and cutting it during renovations that filled homes with carcinogenic dust. The mesothelioma connection took decades to establish, during which millions of Americans lived surrounded by what they thought was miracle fireproofing. The slow phase-out means many older homes still contain this dangerous material today. Our grandparents' normal is our nightmare. These examples show how quickly American society evolves. What felt ordinary one generation becomes unthinkable the next. Which of these shocked you the most? Share your thoughts below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to Old America Rewind for more eye-opening journeys into America's past.